Okay, everybody, today we're going to do something a little different. We're going to use some different commands that we haven't used, and we're going to do it on single view drawings. As you can see, the three things that we've got to draw, the first one is a combination wrench. The second one is a movie film reel, which just according to how old or how young you are, you may or may not have ever seen one of these before. And then the last one that we've got over here is a transmission gasket for a Buick. So these are the three parts that we're going to be drawing today. So here on the first one, on the wrench that we're going to be drawing, we've got some real simple processes to do, but it makes for a good looking drawing. We're going to be drawing, as you can see, polygons, and of course a equilateral triangle and a square technically qualify as a polygon. I know some people will argue that point, and I understand that argument. We draw these, and don't forget what we do. Every one of them, even though we don't see it with the square, we don't see it with the hexagon, every one of these has to start with a circle. And then what we decide to do after that is it inscribed like the triangle or the pentagon, or is it circumscribed like the hexagon, square, and octagon? Remember, inscribed just means inside, okay, drawn inside. Circumscribed means drawn outside of the circle. The other term that you're going to hear, of course, is across corners. Notice that the corners of the triangle or the corners of the pentagon is touching the circle, so that is inscribed or across corners as far as your measurements go. And circumscribed is across the flats of the object. So see the flat sides, and here again, flat sides. Okay, so let's get started. Let's start with our circle, a very simple process. We'll go up here and click on, I'm going to do center diameter, just because it's an easy one to start with. We're at 2 5/8, so I'm going to do 2.625 or 2-5/8. Either one works fine. Y'all know that. I'm going to move this on down just a little bit to give myself some room. There we go. Now then, we need another arc out here at the end, which is an 11/16 radius. I'm going to use circle again, but I'm going to use radius this time, and it's 7 3/4 away. So I'm just going to hover over the center point, not clicking. Now drag away and tell it my first point is 7 3/4 or 7.75. There's my center point, and we are doing radius this time, so I'm just going to do 11/16. Keep from having to do the math. Keep it simple, right? And then this inner radius is a 3/8 radius. So very same thing again, using the center point of this, because they're concentric. And this one is 3/8, so 3/8 or 0.375, either one's fine. Then we've got the lines coming back here and the lines coming back here that are come off the quadrants of the arcs, top and bottom quadrants. So I'm just going to go line, click here. I'm going to draw it out to the circle. We'll worry about using the fillet or cleaning that up in a minute. And then we're going to have two more lines here. But look, we've got another arc here that is 5 9/16 away. I'm just going to use the copy command. This is so much easier. Copy here from the center point and then start dragging out 5-9/16. There we go. That's where that goes. And now I can put my lines between them. I'm going to go ahead and trim one time and get rid of that first. Now I'm going to do line, again, quadrant to quadrant, and quadrant to quadrant. And now we'll trim inside. Here we go. There we go. So there's that part of it done. Pretty easy. So now all we need to worry about, of course, is the head and then these fillets here. Let's go ahead and do the fillets while we're here. We'll get them out of the way. So remember, here's our fillet command. We'll click on it. And the first thing we want to do is check see what our radius is. Yours probably says 0 on it. Mine says 0.6. But we need a 3/4 radius. So I'm going to click on radius, type in 0.75. And now I can click on this line and this line, hit enter, this line and this line, and there we go. It does it really quick for us. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is we want to start laying these in, and then we'll put in our center lines. We'll do the center lines last just to keep it simple. Actually, no, let's go ahead and do the center lines now. I'll tell you why here in a minute. So I'm going to go quadrant to quadrant, zoom in a little bit. I'll extend this out 1/4 inch each way, just like always. Just using my grips. Now I'll do another one here. Same thing. And I'll do one here. Grab this script and drag it out. And I'm going to copy that one while I'm here from the midpoint of the line to the center point of the arc out there. And now we can take and turn all of these and change our layer. Of course, we can do it here under the layer command, or if you've got the properties flyout box, you can do it over here, either one. But we're going to change them all to center lines, hit escape, and there, that's done. Okay, so now let's take care of the heads on our actual wrench itself. So the first one is a hexagon. Notice that the measurement goes across the flat part, so that tells us automatically it's circumscribed, it's outside the circle, so we will start every one of these with a circle. So that's the first thing we want to do. I'm going to go ahead and click and go into diameter because I'm going to be using diameter every time. So I'm going to start in the center and give it a diameter of 1.5. So there's our circle. Notice again, the circle's not on here, but I do have it over here on my example so you can see it. So let's put in the hexagon. Now I've sort of let the cat out of the bag, but if we look under draw commands, you'll see the rectangle command up here in this corner. But there is a drop down arrow and underneath is polygon. So once we click on it like that, it's automatically in there. Now the first thing it asks us for at the bottom is how many sides? Well, hexagon, 6 sides. Okay. Now specify center point, center of the circle. Circumscribed or inscribed. We've already said it's circumscribed, and that's where we're at, so we can click on that. And now, notice what we've got. We've got the corner. If you see right here, this corner is down below. Well, what we're going to worry about first is let's get the corner. Let's not worry about that too bad. I like the idea of getting the corner touching where I want it. So I'm going to rotate the corner off the horizontal. So I'm going to put it there. Because look, this is the corner I want to rotate because I want it down 15 degrees. So now I can go into rotate after placing that. Click on the polygon, hit enter, center point, and remember I'm rotating to the left or down to the left, so I can just type in a positive 15 degrees. There it is. Very simple to do, okay? So now let's do our alternate heads. Now what I want to do, notice it says scale half size. But we're not going to fool with that right now. What we're going to do is we're going to draw them full size. Or we're about scaling them here in a minute. Okay, so we're going to go circle again. But what we can do is this. Now this is really kind of cheating, but I like doing this. Watch this. Let's grab this circle and this, the outer circle and the center line. Let's click and let's drag down. We're just going to get it down here below. Okay. I'm going to mirror my center line on the 45 to get it right. There we go. And I need 4 of those. So I'm going to say copy. And I just happen to know, it doesn't matter where I pick, I'm going to click and I'm going to drag over and I'm going to tell it to put the next one 3.5 inches away. Oops, I just typed in half. If you ever do something like that, hit the undo down here at the bottom. Now, 3.5. There we go. Another one over here. This time I'm going to say, because I'm coming from the first one, 7. That's 3.5 and 3.5. Well, what's another 3.5? That'd be 10.5. There we go. Now they're evenly spaced out across there. Okay, so the one with the triangle in the head, this one is inscribed 2-inch circle. So diameter, center, 2 inches for our diameter. Back to polygon. Change our number to 3 instead of 6. And look, I accidentally put it in the wrong one. We'll just move it here in a minute, okay? So we'll click here. This one is inscribed. And look, it's growing from the point, and we want the point facing to the left. So click right there. There we go. Now again, like I said, I drew that one in the wrong one. All I have to do is click on Move, click on the triangle and the inner circle, center point to center point. There, got it in the right place. No problem. All right, so our next one is a square, and it's across the flat corner, so it's circumscribed. This one was inscribed. This one will be circumscribed. 1 3/8. So let's draw a circle. 1.375 or 1/3/8, right? Okay, so again, we're going to do polygon, change our number of sides to 4, center, circumscribe, and look, I'm going to make sure you go ahead, don't draw this one on a 45, draw it out and place it in a normal square position. Then rotate the square around the center point 45 degrees. Okay? It will change your measurement if you don't do it that way. Okay? So the next one, another 2 inch. Okay? So we're going to do circle diameter, 2 inch. This one is inscribed, just like the triangle was, and it's a pentagon. So we click on it, tell it 5 sides. Center point, right there. This one is inscribed. So we click on inscribe. Now again, see the top point up there is rotated slightly to the left, but then look over to the other side. Notice that there is a point dead on that left corner. So there is a point. Let's zoom in right there. See it? So we can place it by the point. That works out really well. All right. Our last one is an octagon, and it is a 1.5, so circle diameter, 1.5. There we go. Polygon, 8 sides, and this one is flat, and it is circumscribed. It's on the outside, so center point, circumscribe, and now we're going to drag out and click right there, and there it is. Okay. So look how big these are. A whole lot bigger than these. Well, watch this. Here's another command, scale. Notice it said up here that was half size. Remember that? Half size. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go scale. I'm going to drag across all of these. I'm going to click right there. It's a good place and tell it 0.5. There we go. There's the right size. So it's got them placed, no problem. Now if you can go and move these, get them where you want them. Maybe you want them right about, oh, I don't know, here. It's pretty good. Okay. And then we've got some text. See this combination reach, alternate head, scale, 1/2 size. So let's put some text in. I am going to use single line. The reason why I'm going to use single line text instead of multi-line where we draw a box, remember this is the one that's always on top, but I'm going to click, drop down, click single line, is because I want to change my justification, because see how these are centered? That's what I'm wanting to do. So I'm going to say justify, and I'm going to say, now be careful, I said center, but the word we actually want is middle. Okay, so I clicked on middle, specify middle point, oh, right about there. Now, angle of rotation is the default 0, hit enter. Make sure your cap lock is on, your capital letter lock, and type in combination wrench. Now the letters are going to look really, really, really big. That's okay. Okay, hit enter. Alternate heads, space, and then we're going to put it inside of parentheses, and we're going to say scale, colon, and now we say 1/2 for 1/2, S-I-Z-E, size, and put another parenthesis at the end. And when you click, notice I've still got a icon up here wanting to type. Right click and say cancel. There you go. So that's how we put text in a single line, and we can fix our justification. Okay, so there's the first one done. So let's do the second one, the movie film reel. Now this one it's got a lot of stuff going on, but it's actually not hard, because look, a lot of it is repetitive. See that? So let's start with our circles. We need to find our diameters. Let's find our outer diameter first. Have you seen it yet? Look over it, look around. It's there if you hunt. Right here it is. 5-inch diameter. So in diameter, click, type in 5. Okay, so we've got that one in. Now then, this arc here is offset 3/16. So if we go to offset, our distance is 3/16. There we go. This and in. See, we're coming in with it. Okay. Now then, we've got a center line circle going around here. So where does it go? Well, what we've got on this one now, if we look real careful, we can find it. There it is, 3 5/8. So another diameter, center, 3.625. I just like using that because it's so much easier. I'm going to click on it automatically and tell it that I want it on the center layer. I'm going to change it over. There we go. So we've got that one. We've got another circle here. that says it's a 3/4 radius. So let's use that, and this time we'll have to do radius, center radius, 0.75. Okay, so there's that one. Okay, so that's this edge, see? Here's another one, 1 inch diameter. That's a center line. We'll go back to center diameter. And again, this one is a center line. Notice I change them as I do them. It just makes it so much easier and so much cleaner. So I've got this one. I've got the back edge of this. That's good. I've got this because of that. I've got this. And I don't have this one here. This is what I'm missing. 1/2 inch diameter. Okay. Click. Center point. 0.5. There. So that's what I've got to start with. Pretty simple layout. Okay. So what can we do? Well, let's just start at the top. Let's start with this teardrop. Okay. There's 3 of them. They're equally spaced. They tell us so. 3 slots equally spaced. And I'm going to go ahead and put in my center lines. Okay, my left to right and top to bottom center lines. I'm going to go ahead and change them into center lines. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and extend them out. If I could have just used the mirror command, but this is almost as quick. Okay, there they are. Now, if you notice, we've got a 1/2 inch radius emanating from where this line crosses that center line right there. So I'm going to go to center, radius, right there. It's also the quadrant, 1.5. And let's go back out and make sure. Yep, no, it's a 1/2 inch. It's not 1.5. So it's 0.5. There we go. Okay. So we've got that laid in. And if you notice, that circle does hit on this arc. Okay, so that's good. So what's our next thing? Well, what else we've got is we've got an 1/8 of an inch radius, and it hits dead on this arc, which was the 3/4 radius. So where is it at? It's right here. So how am I going to get that in? Well, watch. I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to go to circle radius. I'm going to hover at the top of my quadrant, which is the intersection of the line and the circle. I'm going to drag up. Now I haven't clicked yet. I'm going to tell it an 1/8 of an inch, 1/8 or 0.125. Now I'm going to come right back down and click right back on that quadrant again. There it is. So what do I do now to finish up that teardrop shape? You're right. Line. And before we tell it anywhere, we're going to type in TAN for tangent and hit enter. Quadrant. And then we're going to a tangent. TAN and enter. And come down here and click. And there's where it goes. Now, of course, I can use the mirror command now to get this line. Hit enter. And I'm going to use quadrant to quadrant because that'll drop it into place. And I said, no, don't get rid of my source object or that would have gone away. So there we go. So there's that first teardrop shape. Let's go to trim. Hit enter for select all. Get rid of that. And there's that teardrop shape. Okay? So real easy, we've got one of those. All right, so while we're here, we can do the polar array if we want to. Okay? Or we can wait and do some other things too. It doesn't matter. Just according to where we want to be. So what we've got now is we've got a 4.5 inch diameter. See that? That one's easy to miss, and that's the center of these holes, the 2 little ones, okay? Or the little ones. So we're going to have to pay attention to those. Let's go ahead and take care of this first. So let's go to polar array. Remember, if you've got it like this, it's underneath the rectangular array. Drop down, go to polar. Now let's zoom in a little bit. Let's just get the teardrop itself. There it is. Hit enter. It wants to know its center point right there. And of course, it always defaults to 6 in polar. Come up here and click here. Or we could have come down here and clicked on items. Either one will do it. Okay. Notice I clicked on items. Here it is. 3. Sorry about that. Let's do it again. Items. 3 and enter. There we go. Now, enter a couple of times. There it is. Got that taken care of. All right, let's take care of these things, the big openings. So the thing about this, it's easier to draw the one at the bottom than it is the one over to the side because we've got something to work off of, okay, because we've got quadrants and stuff we can use. So let's do that. So where do we need to put something? Well, we've got that circle there. We need one here, and we need a line, okay? And notice what we've got. the center point of this radius and the center point of this radius lie on the same line. That's the reason why a lot of times it's easier to draw the one at the bottom than it is at the top. Okay? Because what I'm going to do, and I could go ahead and do this one, it really doesn't matter. But look here, 38 degrees. Okay, 38 degrees. So that's where we're radiating for, emanating from. So I'm going to just say, draw a line, center point out. Now there's multiple ways of doing this, okay? So there, that was the line that I drew. Notice I covered up half my center line. I drew it from the center of the circle and just drew it out. I'm going to say rotate. Now how do I pick that line to make sure I get the right one? Well, I can come up high because I intentionally drew it long. Or I can, because that was the last thing I drew, I can type in P for previous. And it says nothing found. How about L for last? Ah, L for last, found it. Previous is something that you've already selected. L is the last thing you did. So that works, okay? So I'm going to do that again and show you, though, probably the easiest way for you to remember is just go to line, click on it, make sure you get the one that stops in the middle. If you don't, try it again. Hit enter. Click here. Now we're rotating to the left, so that's a positive number. And it's 38 degrees. So 38 degrees. There we go. So look what we've got now. The center point, where that line and that cross, that's the center point of that arc. And then this arc is located up that line 3/16 of an inch. Okay? So let's go to radius. Let's zoom in. Let's click there. And here again, type in this distance to make sure you get it right, okay? So it's a 1/2 inch radius. So 0.5 and enter. And that'll give you your tangent point, okay? Now, how about down here? Well, we've got a 3/16. So again, radius. We'll zoom in. I'm going to hover here and drag up. Oh no, look what it does. It don't want to let me do what I need to right here. So how can I get that in the right place? Well, watch this. Let's offset this circle out 3/16. So 3/16 and hit enter. This circle out. There's my center point. Circle, click, and again we can come down here and touch it, or we can type in 3/16. Boom, there we go. Okay, so there's our 2 points. Pretty easy. So now where do we get it as far as here? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to do our tangent again, okay? So we're going to go line, tangent before we do anything else, T-A-N, and enter. Click, and we're going tangent to the arc. Click. There it is. That's in the correct place. So this is one of these deals here that when we get this where we want it, now we need to draw the other half of it over here, okay? Well, this is the reason why I said you may want to draw it down here, because having this line here makes a huge difference, okay? Because it gives us something to work off of. You know, we're 38 degrees off of center here. So where are we located at otherwise? So if we're 38 this way, that also means we're 38 this way, right? So we sort of have to figure that out. Well, you know, there are, again, multiple ways of doing that. And yeah, it's kind of a sticky little wicket of what we've got, because that came off the center point. One of the easiest things to do if you start with this one is go ahead and do this. Do line, click here, and drag out through the center of that circle right there. Okay, see that? Now that puts us the same place we were here, because center of that teardrop, center of this teardrop. I'm going to go rotate. I'm going to pick that line I just drew. I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to pick the midpoint. But this time, instead of positive 38, I'm going to go negative 38 degrees. So there is the mate to that. Okay? Now let's go ahead and trim some stuff out. Let's get rid of some stuff. Let's get rid of this and this and this. Let's get rid of this and this and this. Okay? So see, we're in good shape now. Now then, how are we going to get that over here other than redrawing it? Well, we could redraw it. That would be easy. There are multiple ways. We could use a mirror command. It takes a little practice to get it in the right place, but we could do it, because what we could do is we can go line, and we go from this center point to the new center point, which will be right there. And then watch this. Mirror. Click, 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 get the three things we want, hit enter. Midpoint of that line to the center point of the circle and say no. And that'll put it in the right place. That's kind of a convoluted way of doing it, isn't it? But that puts it right where we want it. Let's delete that now, delete that, and delete that. Look at there. There it is. We can also delete this circle because we just used it to find our center points. We zoom in now. Look, we still need to trim up some stuff. What I saw when I was out here, see it kind of fuzzy there and fuzzy there? I realized, oh, I've got something that's got to go. So I zoom in, clean it up. There it is, and there it is because it is tangent. And that takes care of that. Okay? So because of that, now let's go back and look at our picture. So notice nothing else is in there. So we can go ahead and trim again. So let's go to trim, and this time let's be careful what we select. Let's click here and here, the outer edge. Okay? And let's zoom in and let's click here and here. Get them two inner edges. All right, those are our cutting planes. Now I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to click here. I'm going to click here. And all we've got left is just that shape. Perfect. So now we want to do the same thing. Let's do another polar array. Select our objects. Now I've got to be real careful, so I'm probably going to come in here and just select that a couple of times because I only want to get the parts I want. I don't want to get anything off the teardrop. So I'll just walk my way around and hand click. Hit enter. There's my center point. Again, I want 3, so I can pick items down here, or I can just highlight up here and type in 3 and enter. And hit enter one more time. And there we go. Okay, so there's that part. So what have we got left? Well, we've got the holes and these holes in here. Okay, so these holes out here are located on 4.5-inch diameter. So I'm going to go circle, center diameter, go all the way to the dead center and type in 4.5. There we go. See, it's not the same place as this outer edge out here. That's what we've got to pay attention to. Now look, 19 degrees, and it tells us one time, so we know it's the same the other direction. So I'm going to come in here, I'm going to say line. I'm going to click on the center point. Oh, I've already, yeah. And I'm going to go this direction this time. I'm going to draw it the direction that they show it in, okay? And I'm going to click right there. Now then, I'm going to say rotate that line from the center point, and we're going, let's go on around this way. So that's to the left, coming around. You know, so if you go, remember, this is counterclockwise, this is clockwise. We're going counterclockwise right now. So I can type in a positive number, 19. There we go. Okay. See where that circle and that line cross? That's that center point. Okay, so it's real easy to find. Now, how big are those holes? 1/4 inch, 7 holes, and it says include center hole. Oh, okay, so there's a hole in the middle that we haven't drawn yet. So let's draw, let's click, let's come in here, click on that intersection and type in 0.25 and hit enter. There we go. That's exactly where it goes. Now, I need one just exactly like it over here. How am I going to get that there? Watch. Again, tricky thing we can do. Let's use mirror. Click on the circle and hit enter. Click on the midpoint of the whole drawing. Come out to the quadrant of that circle and click. That'll put it exactly in the right place. Then I hit no. I don't want to get rid of my source object. I want to delete that line now. And delete that line. And those two are in the correct place. Back into polar array. Select items. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to pick that and that. Hit enter. Midpoint as always. Again, 3. Hit 3. It'll change. Hit enter. There we go. Now, that took care of all that. What we've got left? Well, we've got these holes and we've got our center in the middle. Okay, let's take care of these holes first. They're easy. So what are we going to do here on this? Well, like I said, it makes it real easy. These holes, if we notice, we can find a number that tells us exactly how big these are. So we look around and go, oh, there it is. 6 holes, 3/16 diameter. So diameter, there's one dead center at the top. So that's right there at that quadrant of the center line. 3/16 and enter. There it is. Guess what? Polar array. Pick on that hole, center of the object. We've got 6 already. Hit enter. And there they are. Okay? So, now remember it said 7 including the center hole? Look right here. There is a hole in the middle and then there's little slots coming out from it. See them? So let's do the top one first. So we said that we got a 1/4 inch hole. So I'm going to go to diameter. and type in 0.25 at the center. There we go. Now then, I need to put in a 1/4 inch slot. And what happens is the reason why we drew, if you remember this number right here, this 1 inch diameter, well, what are we using it for? Well, look, what it is the top part of these slots. Okay? Nope, that's not it. See that right there? That's the wrong one. Here's the one that we're talking about, this 1/2 inch diameter. So, where's that 1/2 inch at? Right here. And then here's our 1/4 inch slot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say line. I'm going to hover at my midpoint, not click, drag over. And remember, it is a 1/16 slot. So I'm going to do 1/32 because that's half of it. There's my start point. I'm going to come up till I touch that second circle. Now I can just mirror that around. Pick that object, midpoint, drag up, click. No, I don't want to get rid of my source object. There it is. Now let's trim. Select all, get rid of that, and get rid of these. Now I'm going to have to click and delete that because I couldn't get rid of all of it. Okay? Go back into trim, select all, let's get rid of this and this. So there's that. Now there's 3 of them. You got it, polar array. Get all of that, those 3 parts, hit enter, center point, change our item count to 3, hit enter. Go back into trim, select all, click, click, and there it is. Pretty cool, huh? All right, so notice I don't put a lot of other center lines on this drawing. If I put any more, it's really going to get messy looking, okay? So let's go over to the Buick transmission gasket. Now, this is the one out of the bunch that is a little tricky, but the reason why is because we're going to have to do some perpendicular and parallel lines. It's not hard, but that's what we're going to do, okay? So the first thing we'll do is we'll start with our circle because everything works off of that. So I'm going to go center diameter. I'm just going to, of course, I've already got it drawn. Give me a starting point. Now, this is important. Notice something. All right, so notice what we've got here is these numbers. See, everything's to 2 decimal places. Well, that's great, but there is a problem. That radius of a 1/2 inch, that's good. That 1/4 inch, that's good. We're fine on both of those, no problem. That 0.75, that's good. That 0.75, that's good. The rest of them that we see, every other one of them, has been reduced to 2 decimal places. I want to put in the actual values. Now, I drew it the first time to 2 decimal places. Right there it is. Okay? But I would like to do it to proper values. What I've given you, if you remember back, is I gave you this cheat sheet. Fractional, decimal inch, and millimeter equivalents. So, like 0.62 is on there. So we scroll till we find 0.62 to 2 decimal places. There it is. It is 5/8. 4/4 is one of the ones. 0.44. There it is. 7/16. So I want to use the proper numbers. 0.12 is an 1/8 of an inch. See, there it is, 0.125, but here, see, rounded 2 places. We've got to either put in 0.125 or 1/8. Don't do 0.12, okay? I'm going to call them out correctly, so if you'll pay attention, you'll see what we're doing. So let's go back in. And again, 3.12, there we go. So instead of 3.12, 3.125, because it's 3 1/8, okay? Hit enter. There's that circle. It's pretty quick. Hey, I forgot to do my slot a minute ago. That's pretty cool. I'll go back and do it this time. Okay, just notice that. So that's going to go there. And now let's go ahead and put our center lines in and let's lay some stuff out, okay? So I'm going to do a center line. Click, click. We'll go ahead and drag this out. Now, I'll tell you what, I'm going to drag this out long on purpose because I know I'm going to need it. Now I'm going to turn it into a center line. There we go. And while I've got it, I'm going to mirror it just like always. Midpoint, 45 degrees. There we go. So there's that center line and that center line. Now I can start working on offsetting. I'll tell you what, if you want to, we'll go ahead and put this keyway in so we don't forget it. I think it may be a good idea. What do you think? So let's say line. Let's draw us another vertical line. Okay, again, I'm going to make it just a little bit taller than the last one so I can grab it. I'm going to rotate that. Look what we've got here, 38 degrees. But this time it's clockwise, so I've got to use negative. So select objects, that last little line I drew from the center point out. Click from the center point, negative 38 degrees. There we go. There's my distance, okay? So we've got that in place. So now we've got 0.94, which what is 0.94? That's 15/16. Okay? And I need half of that, okay, because I'm going both ways. So I've got to put that in first. So half of that would be 15/32. So I'm going to offset 15/32 and hit enter. That way, that way. Okay, there we go. So we've got that part of it drawn. Now we've got a flat line that is how far? 1.88, which is 1 7/8, okay? Now how are we going to get that in the right place? Well, there's an interesting little trick that we can use. I'm going to go to the line. I'm going to click somewhere out here in space, it don't matter where, and I'm going to tell it, before I click on my next point, P-E-R-P, which stands for perpendicular. I'm going to hit enter, and notice what I get. I get sort of an L shape when I click on the line. There we go. So that still ain't got it in the right place, but what I can do now is I can move that line from its endpoint to the center of the circle. Why? Because look, 1 7/8 away from the center point, okay? So offset 1.875 or 1-7/8. Either one's fine. Click on that line, go this way with it. There's where that's supposed to be. Now I can take, and the good part about it is, look, I've got a 0.19 radius fillet. Okay, what's 0.19? Well, let's go look at our cheat sheet. 0.19, there it is, 3/16. Okay, so let's go into fillet. Let's set our radius to 3/16. And now watch. It'll clean up this by clicking on this line and that line. How about that? Let's go back into radius. It remembers our 0.19. It rounded off. Click on that line again, and now click on this line. There it is. So now all we have to do is trim out what we don't want. Trim, select all, get rid of that, 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 get rid of that. There it is. Pretty easy, right? Okay, so we can leave that in there. What we'll do is I will leave the center line in. I'm going to click on it. I'm going to drag it back down to here, to the midpoint of that line. I'm going to drag out using the extension. You want it to use extension. Oh no, it don't want to do it. So, tell you what, let's just take it out today. Okay? We could do another offset and get it in the right place, but we just won't mess with it today. It'll be okay since we're not dimensioning this one. All right, so there's that done. Need to get rid of that line right there. So now let's start figuring out where all these other things go. Look at all these dimensions. So we need to start figuring out where things are located. So this hole is located over 2 1/4 inches. And it's located up 1.81. Well, the 2 1/4 is good, so let's offset 2.25. We know that's a good number. That's our left to right. Click here, click here. There's that. Now, up and down, 1.81. What's 0.81? Well, you can always go look at your cheat sheet. 0.81, 13/16. Offset 1-13/16. There we go. That one's there. Right there it is. That's where it goes. So let's go ahead and put in what we know we can put in here. We've got 4 holes, 0.44, and we've got a radius of 50. Well, let's do that radius of 50 first, just because that's easy. Center point, 0.5 with radius, there it is, okay? Remember, these are concentric. They use the same circle. Now, 0.44, what's that? That's 7/16, okay? 0.44 is 7/16. So, this time we're going to go to diameter, center point, 7/16. That way you know you got it right. Now, if you want to use decimals, 7/16. So find 0.44, 7/16. It would actually be 0.4375. Okay? So there it is. Now, let's put this one in the right place. This one is offset 1.56. Again, 9/16. Look, 1 1/2 plus 0.06. So 1/16 bigger than a half. So 1 9/16. Offset 1-9/16. Right there. And this goes over here. So copy both of them. Center point to the new center point right there. There it is. We know we've got a line that goes from quadrant to quadrant. Oh no, clicked on the wrong circle. Just hit undo. Come back in, click on quadrant, quadrant. There we go. That's where that one goes. We've got a line that comes down here off of this quadrant. We don't really know how far though, but I'm going to go ahead and draw that line from the outer quadrant. I'm just going to draw it down here. Get it somewhere in place where I can see it. Okay? So what else have we got? Well, look at this. We've got an arc here that is tangent to this arc, and there's a straight line right here. Okay, so we really can't do a lot with that yet, right? So we're going to wait on that just a little bit. We can go ahead and place these in place, these two down here, which is good. Let's go and get them, and then we'll have all four of these done. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to shorten up my center lines. I know this one's going to go all the way back to the small hole, and I'm going to drag it back out, 0.25. Okay, same thing here, drag in to the radius that I'm going to use. And drag it back out, 0.25. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing here, drag in to the radius. 0.25 back out. And now look, I'm going to go ahead and fix this one. I'm going to clean this one up too. Okay? And this one comes all the way back into here. Now back out 0.25. There we go. So now, so I've got that in the right place. You think, well, how about that one over there? Well, you're right. I'm going to delete this line completely. Now watch what I do here. Copy those two center lines. Center of the circle, center of the circle. The only problem is this center line is turned the wrong way. Click on it, say mirror, and use the other center line to center around. But this time say yes. Get rid of your source object. There, it's fixed. Okay. We'll trim out these back parts here in a minute. Okay. All right, so now let's work on the holes down here at the bottom. They are 2 1/8, 2.12, which is actually 2.125, offset 2.125. Center line, down. There we go. Now how far? 1.18, 1.75. Offset 1.75. Offset 1.81. Again, if you don't know, go and look. 81, 13/16. Okay? You'll get to the point you'll remember these numbers. So, offset 1-13/16. Okay, and where's that one go? That's this one, this way. So we're working off of that point and that point. Again, y'all, we can copy. So what we'll do is we'll say copy. We'll copy this one first. Center point. Down to here is where it goes. Okay. And now I'm going to get rid of that center line there because I've already got one in place. I'm going to use it here in a minute. Copy. And now I want these circles here and the center points. Uh-oh. So hit undo. Bring it back. Make sure you click on copy that we don't lose anything. Click, center point to here. Okay. Now I'm going to get rid of this line and this line. Okay. So that one's turned the right way. These two are turned the wrong way. They need to be flipped and mirrored down. So let's go to mirror. I can do them both at the same time. Center point to center point and say yes to the source object. Get rid of it. Now they're turned the right way. Okay. So look, we've got all four of these points. We're in good shape so far. Now, how about this out here? Okay, we're 3 inches over from the center line. We're a 1/2 inch, right there it is, up. So offset 3. Center line over. Offset 0.5 up. There it is. And look, they just barely cross. That's really all we need. I'll drag it out a little bit longer so we can see it. But there it is. So we've got a 0.62. That's actually 0.625 because that's 5/8 rounded to 2 decimal places. That's a radius. So let's go to radius right there, 0.625 or 5/8. Then this is a 3/4 drill. So we'll go into diameter. Now remember, if you're here, you can go ahead and click there. Click there. Remember this. Click on diameter, 0.75. There, that'll work. Okay? So that's got that in the right place. So now what do we need to do? Okay, we've still got a little bit of a mess here. So let's clean up some stuff. Let's drag this center line back to here, and then out 1/4 inch. Same thing on this side. See, if we clean some of this stuff up as we go, it's easier to see. And I'm going to do the same thing here. Okay, there we go. It's got them in the right place. We can do the very same thing here too. We can clean these up. Okay, so I'm going to drag out to the edge because I wasn't quite there. Now 0.25 more. We'll get this grip. drag in. Now, this one's going to come all the way to here because, notice the back edge of this thing's gone. Okay? How about the two big ones? Well, these I'm going to do on the outer edge of the big circle. There we go. Okay, so we've got those laid in. All right, so the first thing we've got a horizontal line coming off of here. So I'm going to lay that horizontal line in. It comes from the quadrant. Notice I'm going to draw it a little bit long. There we go. So there's where that goes. And we have a 0.66 radius. Oh, that's an interesting number. Let's go find 0.66. There it is, 2130 seconds. Wow. Okay, so what a great number. So let's do, and that is a radius. Radius. Now where does it go? Ooh, that won't work, will it? No, we've got to drop down and do tangent, tangent, radius, because it's tangent to this arc and it's tangent to this line. So now let's zoom in. Let's say tangent to that arc, tangent to that line, and now our radius is, what did we say? Do you remember? Go look one more time. 0.66, 2130 seconds. So 21/32 and hit enter. And there it is. So now let's go into trim. Select all, get rid of that, zoom in. Now we know it hit on the quadrant. Get rid of that, and let's get rid of that. And while we're here, let's get rid of that now. How about that? Hey, we can get rid of this now. Look, we're getting rid of some stuff. That's really neat, okay? Hit enter. So now that's all we can clean up for now, okay? So here's where it gets kind of tricky, is in here. Because these lines are laid out. Now they're tangent, so they touch these circles in one place and one place only, but look at the degree reading. Okay, look at this degree reading, 13, 8, 15, and look, really close. That 15 comes off of a 7-degree line. So we've got some really neat stuff going on here, okay? So let's take care of this one first. So it's 13 degrees off of vertical. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to draw me a line 13 degrees off of vertical. I'm going to say line. Okay. I'm going to start at the center of that circle. I'm going to drag it way up there. I'm going to make it that long. Now I'm going to rotate that line, and it's rotated clockwise. So I'm going to rotate around that point. I'm going to say -13 because it's rotated clockwise. That's great, but that ain't where I want it. So how do I get it where I want it? Well, this is where perpendiculars and parallels come into play. So I know that it's 13 degrees off of vertical. Well, this line's vertical. Well, a 90-degree corner to that line would find its tangent point out here, believe it or not. So what do I mean by that? Go to line. Click out here in space. And now notice what I'm going to do. I clicked. Now I'm going to type in PERP again, perpendicular, and I'm going to come over here and touch that line. Let's get back in here and do it again. Didn't quite take. PERP, enter. That line. There we go. Now look. Okay, so what we got? I know this is a step or two, but now move this line, hit enter. Okay, pick it. And get the end point of that line and put it at the center point of the circle, right there. Okay? Because now we can go move this line, hit enter, get its end point, and move it out here where the line and the circle touch. See there, that's a 90-degree corner. Look, I'll prove it to you. Angle. That line, 90 degrees. It'll work every time, okay? Now all I have to do is delete that. I don't need it anymore. So now I can take and make this line longer. So I'm going to use extend. I'm going to pick this as my extension edge, or you can hit enter and select all. Let it run to there. Now I just drag this back. And again, zoom in, make sure you get the end point, not the midpoint of the other line. There we go. So that side's good. Hey, we can go ahead and put the bottom of that thing in. We've never done that. Let's click here, quadrant to quadrant. By doing that, now we can go into trim and get rid of that. So look, that whole side's done. Now all we got to do is finish this. Okay, so this one's a little bit messy, but we can do it. It's really not hard. So 8 degrees off of this outer curve. Okay, so the same thing. I'm going to draw a line. I'll start in the center of that circle, and I'm going to drag out. Okay, I'm going to make it horizontal. Look how long I made it. Now I'm going to say rotate that line. I did that so I get a hold of it. Around that endpoint. Now, 8 degrees this way. This way. That's clockwise, so it'd be -8. There we go. Okay? Back into line. I'm just going to click out here in the space somewhere. And I'm going to tell it now, my next point is perpendicular, P-E-R-P, to that line. There we go. Again, let's move the line we just drew from the endpoint that's perpendicular to the center of the circle. There we go. So now we can move the other one, the one we actually want, from its endpoint to where it intersects the big circle. Don't get the quadrant, get the big circle out there, the intersection, okay? Now we can delete that. There it is. Pretty neat, huh? So we're going to leave that for a while. Now let's look right here. This is the one that everybody messes up on. Look, they see the 15, but they miss the 7. There's a 7-degree line here going out this way, and then a 15-degree going back that way. So, line. Again, center. And now, which way is that 7 measured from? It's measured from vertical. Draw it up there. Pretty good long line. Rotate that line around the center point. We're going counterclockwise this time. Okay? So we can say 7 degrees, not -7. Same as always, y'all. Line. Click out here in the space. P-E-R-P to that line. Move that line to the center point. Right there. And it shows as an intersection because of everything that's coming together. And then move the 7-degree line, the one we want, from the center out to the intersection of it in the big circle. It goes right there. Okay? Pretty easy on that. Now, where's that 15-degree line start? 0.84 up. 0.84. There it is. 2730 seconds. Okay, we can do that. So, offset 2730 seconds. The bottom line. Up that far. There it is. So, I'm going to take it, I'm going to drag it out, and I'm just going to come over here and stop with the X right on that 7-degree line. Right there's where it goes. Okay? All right, I can go ahead and get rid of this. I don't need it anymore. So now we got a 15-degree line. And that's measured off of, this is the tricky part. Look, that 15-degree line is not measured off of vertical. It's measured off of the 7-degree line. Okay, so that's important to remember. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to draw a line right directly on top. And I'm going to start right at the point where that 15-degree line should be. And I'm going to draw it up here to the end point. So I've got a little shorter line laying on top of that line. Now I'm going to say rotate. I'm going to be real careful. I'm going to pick, notice it highlights. See there? Click on that line, hit enter. Pick right here. Now I'm going clockwise this time. So it's -15 degrees. Right there's where it goes. I can take this 7-degree line now and draw it back down to here because that's where it's supposed to end at anyway. Now I can get rid of this line. So how am I going to put these two together? Well, here's the neat part again. Look, we've got a radius, a fillet, 0.06. That's a 1/16 of an inch. Don't put 0.06 because remember, a 0.06 is actually 0.0625. See? So we're going to make sure we either do 0.0625 or we're going to make sure we do 1/16. So fillet, radius, 1/16. That line, and come back in here, that line. Okay? Hey, we can trim that out. That's the only thing we haven't done yet. Click. I should have just selected all, but that's okay. And one more thing to trim. Select all. Get rid of the back edge of that. And ladies and gentlemen, there it is. Pretty neat, huh? It's worrying me that I don't have that center line in there. You know that? So you know what I'm going to do, don't you? I'm going to put it in. I'm going to draw me out a line. I'm going to rotate that line around the midpoint. 30, negative, because it's to the right. -38 degrees. There we go. Turn that into a center line. Now what am I going to do? Offset 0.25. Watch this. I'm going to use this line to my advantage. There we go. Now I can drag this back to here. And then get rid of that little line. How about that? Pretty neat, huh? You know I need that over there, so I'll fix that later. Okay. All right. So there's those three. Give them a try. See what you think of. The text again, very same thing. Go into text, justify, middle. I sort of hovered here and drug down is what I did. Make sure your cap lock's on. Movie, film, reel. And look what I did. It's asking for rotation of angle. When you don't pay attention, it'll get you. So our rotation of angle is 0. Hit enter. Now, movie. See, even I make that mistake. Reel. Enter. Nope, don't hit enter. Right click and hit cancel. Oh no, it went away. You have to pick another spot. That happens a lot, okay? So a lot of people do that. So just drag down again. Find your starting point. Justify. Middle. Now, drag down and find your starting point. Rotation 0. Again, movie, film, reel. Notice, click down here. Now right click and say cancel. There you go. Now the one over here. We can just copy this over and edit it if we wanted to, but we need to practice. Justify, middle. Hover and drag down. Find out where you want to put it. Right about there. Rotation of text, 0. See 0, so hit enter. This time our text for this one is a Buick transmission gasket. Click off of it, right click, cancel. There you go. Okay, y'all. Good luck with it. I hope you have a good day. It's not that hard, I promise. So you should be able to get along with it pretty well. Have a great day.